Late last year, we brought you to Nepal, where an idea about fairness spread across the nation and helped bring down the regime. This past week, the sweeping changes continued as the mayor of Kathmandu headed to a landslide victory to be the country's next prime minister. To understand what's happened, we have to go back to the beginning. Our colleague Michael McKee takes us to the high Himalayas for the anatomy of a revolution.
We plan to have a very small, peaceful protest.
Did you stay off of social media or did you go back to posting?
No, I went back to posting. I will never stop posting. It's fine, even if I die.
Now more than ever, people have a window into the lives of others. Social media connects youth across countries and continents, but it also shows them riches beyond their reach. And as inequality and unfairness become more conspicuous, some Gen Zers have taken to the streets. In Nepal, a small democratic country wedged between Tibet and India, what started as a few angry posts became a movement that overthrew the government.
We were marching towards the parliament gate, and I was always very opinionated. I used to have opinions on everything. I was a rebel kid. This video is about me asking.
Prashamsa Subedi is a 22-year-old law student who lives with her parents in the outskirts of Nepal's capital, Kathmandu. Not long ago, her life took a surprising turn.
It was 2024 when I started uploading the videos about my political opinion, what I felt the government was doing wrong, and that's when it took off.
In late June, after a Nepali politician downplayed the country's poverty, Subedi posted an angry response on TikTok. A day later, her clip had over 1 million views.
How can a leader, mantri say that? Ke?
Before, when we think of it, these politicians would not have their life public. So we would not know what their lifestyle was, how everything was going. But then there is a very famous politician. One of his family members was a vlogger. And she used to document their lives, and every clip used to go viral. And people used to see what lavish lifestyle they were having, which we could not even imagine. So that is how it all sparked, that is how it all triggered.
There's sudden visibility to how much richer the rich are than the poor, right? That ability to kind of see over the palace walls.
Clay Shirky studies the effect of social media on politics at New York University.
In revolution after revolution, there has been some sudden change in perception of how the wealthy are living. In Nepal, it was around this idea of Nepo babies, right? It was the idea that the children of the rich were not suffering the way the rest of Gen Z was.
Something had changed about the way Nepal's youth saw their country and the lives of its wealthiest citizens. It was not just the inequality that felt wrong, but the inequality of opportunity. The idea that those at the bottom would never have the chance to rise up, and those at the top might not deserve to be there at all. As the online furor grew, the government made a dramatic decision.
And Nepal has cracked down on a number of social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X.
I was, first of all, utterly hopeless and helpless.
18-year-old Shaswat Lamachan was one of the many Gen Zers who was angry about the social media ban.
Talked with some activist friends, figured out what we could do, and we concluded that doing a protest will be the best way to do it.
Lamachan says he expected 200 protesters to show up. But across the country, others like him were putting out the same call to friends and influencers.
The collective action problem is if one person goes to the government and is protesting out front, they are completely helpless. But if 1,000 people do, they have to pay attention. And if 10,000 people do, they're overwhelmed.
Tell us what happened on September 8th when you woke up in the morning.
I didn't sleep that day.
We all planned to wear school dresses so that police could not even beat us because it's illegal to beat school children. And we were 100 meters away from Parliament where we were sitting, and we got the sense of tear gas.
In an instant, everything changed.
That is when I got the news of a person being killed. We didn't think it would go that far, but there was a news of a person being targeted. I was just scrolling through the news. I could not work. I could not do anything. I was just scrolling through the one scroll, one death. One scroll, one death. After the news that one person is shot and he's dead, I felt so guilty because he might have come watching my videos. So maybe I am responsible for his death.
Police firing actual shots at children dying.
News of the violence traveled quickly, and then escalation.
The very clip that I would say that ignited the fire in the people was a 17-year-old getting shot on his head.
Our palaces were burnt, our banks were looted.
By the end of the violence, over 70 people had died, 2,000 injured. On September 9th, one day after the protests began, many of Nepal's top leaders resigned, including the Prime Minister himself.
We never imagined this situation. It was like nobody told us we would be a country without a government.
But then, an unexpected phone call in the middle of the night.
The army invited us to sit down with them at the army headquarters to talk on what to do next, what the future of the country should look like.
Subaidi also got the army's call, along with a handful of others. The ask, you helped start this, now come fix it. Lamichan, who had started a chat room to organize the protests, helped create another, this time to pick a new leader. The name they chose? Sushila Karki, a retired Supreme Court justice known for fighting corruption and supporting women's rights. Subaidi, the law student, got her phone number.
She was asking if we were okay and everything, and we asked her to step up, and then she said, if you guys are trusting on me, then I will have to step up because it's not about me anymore, it's about the country.
For Subaidi and others, a look over the palace wall made them angry, but then also hopeful for a better future. Hopeful enough to take action, and now hopeful that their action will be worth the sacrifice.
On March 5th, Nepal's citizens took the next step toward delivering on the changes they sought last September, going to the polls to elect a new prime minister. We spoke with Thomas Carruthers, chair for democracy studies at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace and a leading scholar on democracy and governance globally. He finds the results dramatic.
The March 5th election in Nepal looks like a pivotal moment in Nepalese political history. After the huge demonstrations of last September, which pushed for really dramatic political change, voters have delivered that change. Coming to power as prime minister, bringing with him the RSP party, is Balendra Shah. In his mid-30s, he's the former mayor of Kathmandu. The news makes a lot of him as an ex-rapper, but let's not forget the fact that he's been mayor of the capital city for almost 4 years. He comes in, interestingly, as a centrist. RSP is a centrist party, but comes in with a mandate for sweeping reforms. Nepalese voters are highly dissatisfied, angry. They want change.
So what do we know about his policies from his time as mayor or what he has campaigned on in this election?
I think we could call him, at least he tries to be, a sort of technocratic activist, if you will, an activist who tries to focus on good governance, transparency, kind of basic governance reforms. He's not coming for change from the left or from the right, but really from the middle out, which is, I think, appealing to the many youth who protested last fall, who represent a kind of non-ideological movement, a sort of post-ideological movement, which is characteristic of so many of the Gen Z protests that we've seen in the last year.
The story in Nepal has caught a lot of attention around the world with the social media phenomenon and then the uprising that came after that. From what you understand of Nepal, might that have similar effects in other countries?
Over the last 12 months, we've seen a wave of what quickly got to be named Gen Z protests. We've seen them in Africa, in Kenya and Madagascar. We've seen them in other parts of Asia, like Indonesia or the Philippines. We've seen them in the Middle East with Morocco. We've seen them in South America with Peru. All these protests have a couple of things in common. Dominated by young people, often kind of leaderless in their form, rather spontaneous, somewhat non-ideological, very delivery-oriented, here's what we want, and nonviolent for the most part. So these protests have certain common characteristics, and they have the same kind of drivers. Corruption is just a big issue among young people in all of these regions, all of these countries. Corruption is a big thing. Economic grievances are important. And again, that general sense of underrepresentation. And this is, of course, the issue with so many struggling democracies around the world, citizens losing their patience, wanting to see that, having political and civil rights also brings them some benefit to their everyday life. It's not just in the developing world. I think people feel it in many, quote, wealthy established democracies as well.
All of this happening as a backdrop of the war in Iran right now, a very, very different country where Nepal is very, very small. Iran is very, very large. It's something like 90 million people, the size of much of Western Europe. We had seen some uprisings, civil uprisings in Iran before this war happened. What do you think the effects may be on the young people of Iran of what we're seeing right now?
Well, the young people of Iran stood up incredibly bravely in December and January and were massacred by the thousands by just really an amount of violence we have not seen against protesters anywhere in the world in the last 10 or 20 years. Inevitably, Iran is driven by its own political dynamics, but I think many young people in Iran were inspired somewhat by this wave of what I described as Gen Z protests around the world. So maybe not Nepal specifically, but it was one part of a larger wave, which I think many young people in Iran feel they would like to be part of and would like to see the ability to have a voice, to bring to power someone who listens to them and tries to respond to their needs and interests.